Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Publishing and Printing Customer Webinar Series that we are doing today. Currently, I have it that everybody is muted, and we will come to a point at the end of this webinar to give you a chance to ask any questions if you come across it. In today's webinar, we are going to be discussing publishing and printing. But before we get into that, I wanted to do a quick overview of some of the upcoming webinars that we've got coming. We have one each month. Next one in April, we'll be talking about the moving to IntelliCloud, our cloud version of Intellivue. So that'll kind of give you some details as to what it would take if you're currently a premise client, of what it will take to move to the cloud that's hosted and secure. And then in May, we have another one coming up that talks about new ways to add documents into Intellivue. We have a few new features that we'll talk about those. And then a few additional ones coming up that will show you some advanced features in Intellivue. But today on our publishing, we will be discussing what it means to publish and what that term means and how to print out of Intellivue. Publishing is a tool that allows you to pull out documents from Intellivue. This can be whether it's a virtual file, which could be a Word document, Excel spreadsheet, anything that's electronic, or anything that has been scanned into Intellivue as an image. There are 4 ways to publish out of Intellivue. These ways include printing, exporting, emailing, and creating a PDF. Some of the key things we'll learn today are printing a document, whether it's a single page document, just a page, a range of pages, or an entire folder. You'll also learn how to publish any of those types of levels of documents out as a PDF format. And I'll also show you how to, like if you've added notes or any types of redactions or maybe annotations to those types of documents that have been scanned in, I can show you how to export those out in the PDF format as well so they adhere and show. And then show you the email feature. So if you use Microsoft Outlook, the desktop app, I can show you how to email a document and attach it. And then also how to, if you need to pull a electronic version of the document out into the system. So let's hop right into our demo of Intellivue. And today's demo is going to be showing the desktop version of Intellivue, Intellivue GX. Let me exit out of my PowerPoint here. And I have here displayed in my demo environment. In my human resources, I'm going to use this as my demo application for today. Let's first start by going through the printing options. So there are 4 levels that you can print at. If you want to do a single document, if you want to do the whole document itself, if you want to do everything, if you have an application that contains subfolders, or if you want to do at the folder level. And any time that you're performing your print action, and this will be the same as we go through some of the other publishing options, when you're actively selecting that item, it'll be highlighted orange. This indicates that you know you're on the right, you're selecting the item that you want to activate it. So if I wanted to print this 7-page document, I would select the document bar, which gives all the details of that document, right-click on it, and then I can see from my subfolder, these are my page set actions. And I'm going to go down to Publish. And this is going to take me to an instantaneous window if I wanted to automatically publish this document. When I click that, it'll then launch your Content Publisher view. And from in here, you can jump to some of the other options that are available for publishing, but let's start with the print. Within this print window, it's going to default and show you your typical printer that you probably have defaulted on your workstation. If you're wanting to select a different printer, click on this select printer option. And then from here, you can navigate and say, oh, this is the actual printer that I want to use. Or if you're at a different location or need to utilize a different printer, select it and click print. And then you'll see that your printer options have updated here. You'll have some options that if you want to include annotations with that document, you could place a check in this include dynamic annotations. And these are going to be like if you're highlighting the document using that stamp feature or the text overlay that you can place on top of a document or a page. And then you also have some options here that can adjust the sizings of those images, like if you want it to do the best fit, fit to width, and then you can tell it to apply to TIFF images or JPEG images, or you can do the page set to length and then also adhere that to TIFF images only or a combination of the both. But usually the default, we'll keep it in the original size of that document. And then other things, if you have your redactions on a page, you would pay attention to this alternate permission access level option. And then if you have redactions, you always want this redaction zone to be lower than that redaction level that has been created. So if you want the redaction to appear, just keep it lower. Or if you want the redaction not to appear, you would just make that higher than the redaction. So once you have all your settings, then just come down to the bottom and click this print button. And then that document will process and be sent to your printer. And then you'll see a little progress bar as that document prints. And then you'll see that the document will clear out of the queue field that we have here for those printed selected documents. If you want to keep your document listed here and not have it clear out, there is an option down here at the bottom that you can, it's automatically checked to clear list of successfully completed items. If you uncheck this, then it will then retain in this list if you need to print it or if you need another form of publishing of that document. And once you uncheck it and close, it'll retain that option. And then if you want to turn it back on, just place a check in it and then click your close to retain that. So when publishing, like if you wanted to publish a page for printing, select that single page, and then you have your right-click action, which is your page actions, and then just do your publish. If you want to add just this page to the publishing list or the queue, so that way you can continue, building up your list and searching for different documents you need to publish out, just click that. And we see that a content publisher window did not pop up. But if I go up here to my publishing icons, I can click on those and then my content publisher window will pop up and I'll see my queue of documents that have been added. And then in here, if you need to add or if you need to remove anything, select it. Remove removes the single document. Remove all removes anything that's in the queue. If you need to do a page range, for example, if in the 7 pages I needed to do maybe just pages 5 and 6, you would select at the document level, right click, and do add to publish list select. And then in this window, if you select the page range, you can then put in here 5-6. Or if you also needed to maybe include page 2, you could do comma. And then you can also use as an example right here below the pages that you want. You could use this below what you want. Click OK, and then it's going to add those selected documents to your publishing queue. If there are selective pages maybe within the subfolder, and there's just a larger range of, if you click on that subfolder node, so it's orange, right click and see that we're in the subfolder actions menu. If you go down to add to publish list selection, then you can also here as well do the same thing and select your range of items that you would want to print. And then that would then just add it to your print queue, and you would see your page range. But that is the, and then if you want to print the entire folder, you would right click up in this folder, like on the folder index itself. So if I expand that, you can see I'm in my folder indexes window. Anytime you click on the actual word folder indexes, you'll see your folder actions menu. And then this is going to be your folder level. So anything within that folder that you want to print or publish out, you'll right click at that level and then choose your publishing option. Other ways to publish would be maybe I want to publish as a PDF. So let's say we wanted to do a PDF option for this document. So if I select it and right click again, and go back to my publish, I'm going to go to my PDF option. And on this tab, if you just want to do a straight quick print to PDF, just leave all the options defaulted as they are and do create PDF, and then it'll do just a quick version of that PDF. If you want to apply some of the other options, like if the document had bookmarks and you wanted to include those, you can add the bookmarks. If it's got page notes, you can include the page notes in that PDF. You can also include the folder indexes or those folder labels. If there's any folder notes, you can include those as well. If you want to include document level labels or those document attributes, select that option. If you have some page level permissions where the pages are tied down security-wise, that if you do secured blank and you're still wanting to pull everything out, it'll pull that document out with the permissions, but it'll just keep it white since you're publishing out with your alternate permissions. If you needed to see that page, just make sure to make these levels higher, just like the redactions. You can also have the pages displayed in descending order in the create time. And you can also include those dynamic annotations if you included any of those. And then a couple other options. The open immediately. This will open up your PDF into your default web browser. Or if you prefer to save the file, if you click this little save to file option, and then click this little ellipsis with the 3 dots, check that, and then navigate out where you'd want to save that PDF and then give it a file or give it a name. And then just click save. And then when you come down here to create your PDF, it'll then save that file out to your specified directory. If you have multiple documents or items listed in your publishing queue, and if they're folder level or document level, there is an option here to create document for each entry. So any entry you have in here will then be created as a separate document. So let me go back and let's publish this so I can show you what all those options will look like. So let's include notes, folder notes, document labels, and dynamic annotations. And then I'm going to create my PDF. And I have it so my redactions are low. So when I publish it, I will see my redaction here has come through because I had that alternate permission lower than this redaction level. I can see that there's a note on the page, so it's going to appear as a little sticky. And depending on your PDF viewer, this may look slightly different, but all notes will come over as like a little sticky on that page. And then if you hover over it, it'll give you the details for all the notes. And if there's more, that note window will be bigger. If you expand this, you can see some, like here's your document attribute details for that document. Zoom in a little bit more. And then if you click through your pages, this one I put some dynamic annotations on it. So those have come through as well since I checked that box. And then from here, if you need to print it or email it in the PDF form or save it, depending on your PDF browser, you may have these options, you may not. If not, save it, and then from there you can attach it to an email if you need it in a PDF format. So after PDF, a couple of the other options that we have are email and export. And so let me go back here, and let's say we need to add to the published list again. And then let's say we need to export this document out. So I'll go to my export tab. Exporting is an option where it'll allow you to, if you need to save it to a network share, to your desktop, or if you have like a thumb drive. However, any type of electronic way that you want to pull it out of the system and save it onto an electronic device. When we click on the export, you're given some options here. If none of these options are checked, and say I exported this 7-page document out, this would export them out as 7 separate pages. If I would prefer to export everything as one attachment, I would want to make sure to click this each page appended to one file. And this is then going to combine all 7 pages into one attachment. If I also wanted to, instead of just having the image given a default file name of image, I can use the file naming based on the folder index labels. And when I'm here and I click this, depending on your application, you'll get a list of labels. So if I wanted to include employee ID is grayed out because it is required, but say maybe I didn't want to include employee ID, I can uncheck it and say maybe I wanted first name and last name, so I know of this person that I'm pulling out. And then the other thing you want to do is also select the location you want to export to. So you would click this little ellipsis button and then navigate to where you want to save that folder. And if it's a network share, you would select that location, click OK, and then you'll see this update here. And one thing to note is when you're doing the export option, it is pulling the items out in whichever format they were placed into Intellivue. So if it's a scanned image, it's going to come out as a TIFF format. If it's a Word document or Excel spreadsheet, as you're exporting out this way, it'll come out in the original formats. So it is not coming out with the PDF wrapper that you would get with this PDF option here. So now if I go down here and do my export, I'll process. And then if I go out to my location on my desktop and in my exported folders, here is my one document, my multi-page TIFF. And you can see it's got my person's first and last name. And then if you open it, you've got your multiple pages, but this is in the TIFF format. If you choose to do your email option, this email option, it's going to have similar export options for when you're building your attachment for the email. None of these checked, it'll just be separate 7-page attachments. If you want them together, make sure to select this so that it's one attachment. And then this will use the same file naming convention as we had shown over on the export if you want to have those labels there. And it's the same here as the export, that when you pull it out, it will be in the TIFF format, or if it's like a Word or Excel, it's going to be in the original format of that document, no PDF option. And the email option will only work with if you have a desktop app of Microsoft Outlook, or if you've built into your default apps that are available on your workstation, whatever default email is there, but it will not work with like if you have a web email, so like Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail. If you're going to the web website version. It's not going to correlate with the email creation that way. But if you have your Outlook and you click your send, then it's going to launch a new email message. And from here, you can then see I've got my attachment, and it's a multi-page, not 7 individual ones. And from here, you can type who it's to. If I can type today. And then your subject and your message as you normally would, and then just click send. And then that attachment will be sent to that person. And depending on if there's sensitive data or anything on that you need to retain or hide from when you're sending out that document, just make sure you have all of your redaction levels applied that you need added to that document. And then using your alternate permissions, just make sure it's always lower than that redaction zone level that you've created, so that way it comes through as a black box on the copied out image. And then, so those are all of the key features, and everything as far as publishing, like if you do the email or the PDF, you can still do the same as I showed with the printing, where it will be at all 4 levels, the page, document, subfolder, or folder itself. You can do all of those same actions for all of those 4 sections. One other level of publishing that you can get, if I go to my search tab, say you wanted to run maybe a document level search if you have Activity Center built, or if you want to do multiple folders published out. In the search section, you have the ability to, anything that's in your search results, you can publish out or add to your publish list. So whatever you have here, your search level publishing is going to be located up here in the top section. And if I hover over these, the first one on the left, this one would add just the selected search record to your publish list. This option is going to add all items to the publish list, and then it's going to automatically bring up the publisher. Or if you're adding individual items and you're ready to view the publisher, this button will then pull up that content publisher window. So let's say we wanted to publish out all of the items in my search list. Now I can see all of my folders will be pulled out. And then from here, if I needed to do one large print job, I could print. Or if I needed everything pulled out as a PDF, but maybe I wanted them to be separate, I'll do my save to file, and then any options I need included with each PDF, and then just make sure to separate each one. So that's the folder. And then if you, maybe if there are certain types of documents, if it's at the attribute level and you're running your search on those attributes, let's say maybe I needed to pull out all, let's say maybe all background checks I needed to, in this example, all background check documents I needed to pull out. So I have 2 documents returned, and then if I add all to publish list, and then I could remove these items here. And even though it says folder, it's only going to do those 2 documents that have been returned. So then you could do a mass print or export, maybe if you're doing document level searching for a series of documents that need to be printed out. But those are the, that is the printing publishing feature within Intellivue GX, the desktop app. Pop back to our PowerPoint. So just to recap what we have learned in today's session, I showed you how that you can print a document or folder or range of pages at those 4 levels or even in the search level. You can then publish out as a PDF and then include any of those additional details that you've added into Intellivue, whether it's notes, redactions, annotations. Also, if you need to email that document out at any level, and how to export a document. Okay, so let's move on over to our Q&A section. And for those of you, I've added a little quick how-to if you need to send in questions, because the audio can't be turned off for you to answer your questions. So you'll have to send them through the chat feature that's in this webinar. So if you have to send a question in that you want me to answer here live in this webinar, click on the little questions box in your web version of this webinar, and then it should expand to open up a question section. And then in that bottom white square box, just enter your question and then click the blue send button. And then it'll get sent to me privately, so nobody will see your questions, it'll only be me. And then I can read those questions, but I won't say who they're coming from. I'll just kind of read them in general. So I'll kind of give you guys, if there's anything that you have, you can start sending those through, and I can provide them. And if there's questions that we don't get answered in this piece of the section, we'll provide those after the session in our follow-up emails to this webinar, and we'll also provide follow-up details to the YouTube page that this webinar will be placed at. So anything there, and we'll also, if you have any documentation or anything like that you want, we'll provide that as well. And if there's any questions, you can always contact our support staff at support@intellivue.com. We can help you with anything that if you didn't want to answer questions here, we can answer them privately if you want to call in to our support staff. But I'll just put this back here. But like I said, if you also go out to the Intellivue YouTube channel, we have several other videos that are out there going over some of the publishing features already, and then a few of our other customer webinars from before. Okay, so we just had a question come through asking if there is a way to publish or export the search list. So let me escape out of this. So if you want to pull out, so if you do your document level search and say you pull out, you need to publish, maybe not the documents, but maybe you want to pull out just these details. Depending on your user permission, there is a way to publish out just the results list, but none of the documents tied to it. That is located up here in this little export result list. If you click that, it gives you an option that you can pull out the search results list as a CSV file or as an XML. CSV, this would be compatible with your Excel. Then you would come down here to the 3 ellipses and locate kind of where you wanted to save it. So maybe I'll put it on my desktop, say, and then I'll save that. Click OK. And then that'll get pulled out to where you saved it. And so then if I open it up in Excel, then, and you can readjust your columns, but then you'll get your search results list of all those details. And then once it's in here, you can then do your regular Excel functions and sort and take columns out and do auto sums if you need to do anything on page counts of anything. So that's how you would pull just the results list with no documents out of Intellivue. This little export. And if you don't have this icon displaying in your toolbar up at the top of Intellivue, you may have an older version of Intellivue GX. If you're interested in getting an upgrade, still contact our support at intellivue.com or call in and ask for support, and we can then connect you and work out the details to get you the latest feature, or we could help you or your support staff at your location get the permissions that you have this enabled if you need to use that option. Let's see, any other questions while I'm on? Okay, well, if we have no other questions for today, then that will end our customer webinar for today. So just remember that you can contact our support staff, but you can also, if you have any other questions, just call support. You can call into the office. You can email, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then this webinar will also be posted on our YouTube channel, and we'll also provide that link in our follow-up emails for this customer webinar series. Thank you guys for joining us today. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for joining.